What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. So, Rebecca Wrong Bailey, or Corbyn in a skirt, whichever one you want to call her, has decided to come out in The Guardian and put herself forward very tentatively for the Labour leadership. Of course, to replace the Corbynated chicken who led Labour to the worst election defeat since 1935, forcing him to stand down the day after, as you will all remember. Of course, he plans to hang on until March or April to oversee the process of replacing him, likely to ensure Corbyn in a skirt gets in there, because this is who he's going to want, along with John McDonnell and the Momentum movement. We got The Guardian's political correspondent talking about it here, and we're going to take a look at Rebecca Long Bailey's actual piece in The Guardian itself. But this will give us a brief overview before we go over what she actually has to say. Because it's actually quite funny, considering most of these Labour MPs seem to be trying to make themselves out to be working class, when in actual fact they're almost exclusively all middle class. Rebecca Long Bailey talks about her life outlook when she was a child, being shaped by watching her dad worry about losing his job at Salford Docks, when in reality, Rebecca Wrong Bailey was just 2 when the Salford Docks were closed down in 1982. So a completely unnecessary lie from Rebecca Wrong Bailey there, because as I've said many times, and I'm sure you will all know, it doesn't matter where she comes from or what she says. Everyone knows she's Corbyn in a skirt and has been tarred with the same brush as him. Likely more than most. But even someone like Jess Phillips, who doesn't necessarily like Jeremy Corbyn, has still been tarred with the same brush because she backed the Labour ticket that said they would go for a second referendum and cancel the first. Essentially telling every single voter in this country that if they disagree with what you voted for, then your vote does not count. So like I said, it doesn't matter where you come from or what you say, the people of this country are not going to vote for you. But that being said, let's take a look what the political correspondent has to say, and then we'll move on to Rebecca Long Bailey herself. It says, Rebecca Long Bailey has made her opening pitch for the Labour leadership, avoiding any direct criticism of Jeremy Corbyn, but implicitly offering an alternative approach by promising to champion progressive patriotism. Well, she's already lost the electorate there, because she is not directly criticising the Corbynated chicken. Not that it would really help too much, I'm sure, but it definitely would improve her standing among some voters at least. Yet again, we have another Labour MP who has no idea what they are doing, and as for her claim of progressive patriotism, I just don't believe it. We know what the Labour Party is like, and their woke policies. It will not allow for any form of patriotism to this country. Patriotism to any voter they can import from a different country, possibly, but not patriotism to the British people, that's for sure. We know what Labour are like. In her first substantive comments on the election result, the party's worst in terms of seats won since 1935, the Shadow Business Secretary uses an article for The Guardian to say Labour's compromise solution on Brexit was partly to blame. But that trust was also an issue. Yes, trust was an issue, Brexit was also an issue, but the Corbynated chicken was the biggest issue, along with, of course, your batshit crazy manifesto, which would have dropped this country in the shit in terms of its economy and the amount of tax the average person would have had to pay. Because regardless of what Labour tried to claim, it was not the top 5% that were going to be paying for it. That's for sure. Without formally announcing her candidacy, she confirms she is considering standing, and that she would back Angela Rayner, the Shadow Education Secretary, for Deputy Leader, effectively creating an all-female, all-working-class joint ticket. Well, I'm sorry to say, Rebecca Wrong Bailey is not working class. Her claims to be working class are that she watched her dad's worrying about the Salford Docks closing down, when in actual fact, the docks closed down when she was 2 years old, so she has no fucking clue. Therefore, it's just spouting whatever bullshit she can to make herself seem like one of the people, when in actual fact, we all know she's just Corbyn in a skirt. And given Maybot's performance as Prime Minister, I'm not so sure that this country is going to vote in an all-female ticket, let's be honest. When Corbyn announced the day after the election that he would resign, Long Bailey was immediately installed as favourite by some bookmakers. Labour plans to open the contest early in the new year and have a new leader installed by March. 2 candidates, Emily Thornberry and Clive Lewis, have already formally declared they are standing, and at least 5 more MPs have used interviews in the last fortnight to say they may join the race. Long Bailey, who has been nurtured by Corbyn's team for a while as their preferred successor, has kept away from the media and avoided the debate that has engulfed Labour about what went wrong. Yet, because I expect Corbyn is trying to let it blow over a bit, thinking it will, when in actual fact I highly doubt it's ever going to blow over, the media and people like me are always going to be there to remind the public and the Labour Party just how bad it was. But you can see in that little bit there, it says that she was nurtured by Corbyn, which essentially puts her out of the running to ever become Prime Minister. Labour can install her as the leader, but I'm sorry, I do not see her ever beating Boris Johnson. He is just going to take her to task on the fact that she is Corbyn in a skirt. And since he nurtured her, and it's well known he did, she's going to have no argument for that. But anyway, enough about that, let's take a look at what Rebecca Long Bailey actually has to say in her piece. And so here we have it, it's an opinion piece. What else do we expect? It's The Guardian. We can take the Labour Party back into power. Here's how. By Rebecca Long Bailey. With a picture of some miners there. We all remember her claims about mines that I spoke about just a few moments ago. Ridiculous. We need to win back the community's trust, champion progressive patriotism, and unite proud communities failed by the Tories. The only communities that seem to have been failed are by the Labour Party, hence why they all voted Tory this time. More delusions from this stupid bin. In 1979, the year I was born, Thatcher's election victory participated an attack on our working class communities, picking apart the bonds that held us together and the institutions that made us proud. I grew up watching my father's friends lose their jobs. Oh, it was your father before, now it's your father's friends, because maybe they lost their job in a mine that didn't close when you were 2 years old. The Shell oil docks where he worked, once a beacon of good pay and security for industrial workers in our area, was shut down and my family was forced to relocate. We were lucky, but the same dogged pursuit of redundancy continued apace in his new workplace too. When I began my first job in a pawnbroker's, I saw people forced to give up family heirlooms so they could afford to feed their children. And now, as an MP, I have seen the devastating impact successive Conservative governments have had on communities like mine. Which I find very hard to believe considering this woman is likely stinking rich and probably doesn't even go into any sort of community that knows about hardship. Let's be honest, when you see these MPs roaming around different towns and cities in the United Kingdom, they're never in the absolute pits, are they? Or very rarely at least. They're always in a well-to-do part of the city or town. So I'm sorry, but I have to call bullshit on that. This election was a historic chance to turn back that tide, but across the country, including in many of the areas hit worst by austerity, we failed. The country was sharply divided by Brexit. No, the country wasn't divided by Brexit. The country wanted to deliver Brexit. 3 times they voted for it. 3 times you're still claiming the country is divided. A majority has spoken each time in the sense that more people have voted for a party that wanted to deliver Brexit, or both parties in the case of the 2017 general election. The country was sharply divided by Brexit and our compromise solution satisfied too few. It wasn't a compromise, it was ignoring the first referendum result. Hence, why you got absolutely shit on at the ballot box. Still not registering in these people's thick skulls though, is it guys? I love it. But we can't blame Brexit alone, and we must recognise that it's no good having the right solutions if people don't believe you can deliver them. Well, no one really thinks you had the right solutions, except for your batshit crazy socialist echo chambers that tell you your policies are great, when in actual fact, the rest of the country thinks they're shit, and know they will just bankrupt the country. Which is why you got rejected, obviously, alongside the Corbynated chicken and your insane Brexit policy. Over the next few months, we must have an honest discussion about why we lost and how we can win. Strategies designed in Westminster were partly to blame, but it's also true that Labour's support has been failing in many communities for a decade or more. Yes, because everyone's starting to realise that yes, you might throw loads of money at them and throw loads of money at public services, but they all end up paying for it for the next 10 or 15 years after. And then the Labour Party happily blame the Tories for austerity, saying look how bad they are, they take all your money, they do all this austerity, when in actual fact it's Labour that forces the Tories to do this. The Labour Party get in, run the country into the ground, the Tories have to do austerity. Over the next few months we must have an honest discussion about why we lost and how we can win. Well, you can't, at least 15 years anyway. We must rebuild trust, not only in our party, but in the idea that change really is possible. This means we cannot return to the politics of the past. Our transformative agenda is principled and popular. No, it's not. While triangulation and soft peddling will only take us backwards. There are many lessons to learn from the defeat, but it's clear we didn't lose because of our commitments to scrap universal credit, invest in public services, or abolish tuition fees. Actually, that is one of the reasons why you lost, because everybody knows that they are going to have to pay for all this spending you plan to do. And they don't want to go through another 10 years of austerity in 10 or 15 years from now, or whenever you was to be elected. Instead, we must pledge to upend the broken political system that has held back our communities for decades. Real wealth and power must be returned to the people of Britain. And let me tell you, the Labour Party will not do that. How many times have the Labour Party been in power and never returned any wealth or power to us? In actual fact, they openly want to ignore our votes, so would take the power from us. And their desire for control over their own lives and the future of their communities must be at the heart of our agenda, which is a bit incredible considering they've tried to stop what the people of this country desire. Of course, talking about Brexit, that we've now voted for 3 times, and at the last election, Labour Party tried to go back on and offer a second referendum with Remain and Remain 2.0. And since, like I've said, she's just Corbyn in a skirt, you can guarantee it will be exactly the same situation should she lead the Labour Party. Let's hope she does. We also need bold, transformative solutions to both plunge in living standards and the climate crisis. And there you go, you've lost some more voters there, you idiot. Working with campaigners, trade unions and experts, I have been proud to champion our party's plans for a green industrial revolution to tackle the climate crisis through investment in good, unionised jobs and the reindustrialisation of our regions and nations. And there you see it, the green industrial revolution, the 500 billion or £1 trillion investment that they wanted to make in their manifesto will remain in their future manifestos. So guess what, guys? If she was the Labour leader and won power, say hello to massive debt. Like I said, the Corbynated chicken in a skirt. And the rest of the article there just talks about an absolute load of bollocks that I'm not going to go over. The video's gone on for long enough. You essentially get the point. She's Corbyn in a skirt and stands absolutely no chance of winning a general election. Thank God for that. But in all honesty, please someone try and tell me one Labour MP that stands a chance of winning the next election. Because in my opinion, it would have to be someone who has never been a Labour MP or even part of the Labour Party right now. They would have to come in, be completely fresh and drain the swamp of everyone there. Since that will never happen, we are going to be lucky in the sense that we shouldn't have a Labour government for a very long time. I've said at least 15 years. If this carries on and they carry on in their delusions, I would say 50 years without a Labour government. Change UK stands more chance of being elected into government than Labour, and they got abolished the other day, as I gloated at in a video. But on that note, guys, I will end the video there. Rebecca Wrong Bailey stands no chance, so good luck to her. The same with Lammy, Phillips, and all of the other shitweasels that have put their name forward. Now, before I go, I do want to thank our PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar and YouTube members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe with a notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I'll see you all in the next one.
And Corbyn neutral by Christmas.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors. Slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going and we are glad to be going. We're off.
Ramon! Ramon!